This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Hey guys, Big Paul here today with another anabolic Q&A. I got some good ones for you today. We're going to dig into a few questions. These are hot off the press. I just got them. I'm recording them on a Thursday night, and they'll be up live on Friday. Anyway, we're going to get into these in just 1 minute. All right, I apologize if I'm a little rough. My allergies are killing me. You can see my eyes are puffy and my nose is kind of stuffed up. So I'm going to try to get through this, but don't beat me up too much if I sound awful. So first question from RLN79. How much of a difference do you think GH played in a role in your physique, and do you take it year-round? I do indeed take GH year-round, and I have for, I guess, about 4 years now. I never used GH when I was younger. I did a lot of anabolics when I was in my 20s and early 30s, and then I stopped gear completely for about 10, 12 years. I was probably, I guess it was more like 12 years. I was pretty much on from the time I was 27 till 32 straight. And then I came off, and I was off from 32 until 40, was it 44, 45? I guess I've been back on for about 3 years now, maybe 4. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Probably closer to 4. But ever since I've come back on, I have been using GH. Previous coach that I worked with was a medical doctor, and he asked me if I wanted to be 35 forever. And I'm like, yes. And then he was like, then you want to run GH. So I think GH is one of those things when you're young and in your early 20s, it's probably unnecessary except for contest prep. You should be making high enough levels of natural GH that you probably don't need it. And your money would, I know you're tight on money when you're in your early 20s. You don't have disposable income like you do when you're later on in life. So I probably would save that money and use it for anabolics. A good coach is important. Not that I'm trying to sell my coaching, but I think a lot of young guys make stupid mistakes and probably could shortcut their progress if they hired a good coach. And I would spend it on food, eating a lot of good high quality protein. Now for me, with difference GH makes, GH is one of those things. It's a slow burn. It's a very subtle thing. You don't see results like right away. It's not like running testosterone and a couple weeks later you feel it. You really don't feel much from GH unless you get the doses too high and then your hands go numb. You definitely feel that. And sometimes it'll make your glucose levels go high. But for the most part, GH is a slow burn, and it has some side benefits, I think, that are great for the aging bodybuilder. Like I have certainly noticed since I run GH, I had a lot of injuries when I was younger, a lot of joint and connective tissue injuries, and it seems to have healed those up. Not 100%, but it seems to have helped with joint and connective tissue health. And that is very important when you're lifting, because if you're hurt, you can't lift, and if you can't lift, you can't make progress. And I think GH helps keep you in the gym and helps with connective tissue health. I'm just speculating. There's also people that run GH have just a harder look at contests. They just have. It's hard to quantify it, or hard to put a label on it. But they just do. They just have a different look at contest time than people that don't run GH. And one thing I'll tell you, like you'll hear some of the gym bros saying, "Yo, I took GH and I can eat all the pizza I want and eat whatever I want." That's a bunch of fucking horse shit. It does make you a little bit harder. It does give you a little bit of runway, but it's not that significant. It is a very subtle thing. And I tell people, if they don't have the money to run GH year round, you're probably just wasting your time. Save your money, spend it on something else. I would make sure that you have enough in the tank to run it year round. That's my 2 cents on GH. I love it. I think it's been very beneficial. I think it's helped with my physique growth, especially when combined with metformin and insulin. They all seem to synergize together to have a compounding effect, raising IGF-1 levels, helping with nutrient partitioning and everything. I think those all three of those synergize and work well together. But I like GH. If you're young, in summary, if you're young, you don't have the money, don't run it. You're probably wasting your money. If you're a guy in your 40s, I think it's probably your best friend. Anyway, that's all I got on GH. All right, next question I got here is from Magnus. What are the benefits and limitations of using HCG or HMG on cycle? There's no good reason why one shouldn't use at least one. They're cheap, and given that the amount of AAS isn't astronomical and it doesn't include 19 NORs, right? I'm a little confused by the wording of this question, but I think I get what he's saying. Basically, should you run HCG or HMG? They're cheap. They don't really hurt much of anything while you're on cycle. All right, here's my take on this. And it's a bit of a controversial one. I think, especially when you're blasting super physiological doses like bodybuilders do, I think it's the equivalent of pissing on a forest fire. You're trying to get your natural test production going when you're sending a strong ass signal to your body to shut things down, especially if you're blasting and cruising and running you around. I don't know that it does much of anything. You're probably a waste of time. If you're a young guy and you're worried about fertility and maintaining your fertility, it's certainly, I don't think it can hurt to run it. I don't, as far as I know, there's no real detrimental effects from running either one of them. I had noticed, like, when I ran HCG, that it did make me a little emotional. Maybe that was in my head, but, one thing about HCG, you can't even really find it anymore. The FDA banned it, and most of the UGL stuff is fake now. So, but yeah, I mean, if you're concerned about fertility, go for it. If you're a guy in my 40s, dude, I'm 48 years old. I'm never having another kid. I am pretty sure I'm permanently shut down at this point, and I'm going to be on TRT for the rest of my life. So why would I bother with it? For the guy that's over 40, it's probably just a waste of time. And, that's my 2 cents. So it really just depends on you. If you're, a young gym bro that's cycling on and off, you want to have kids, you're not a competitor, you're not running huge doses, sure, go for it. If you're a dude that's blasting a gram or more gear, you're probably wasting your time. I don't think it's really doing shit. That would be my guess. But anyway, that's my take on that one. All right, next question here from Josh M. What do you do with your diet / PEDs when having to take time off for your gyno surgery or practices for surgery with time off from all exercise in general? Sorry, I don't have my glasses on, guys, so I'm struggling to read this. So I get what he's saying. So it's about how do you treat the gym, your PEDs, when you're after surgery. Well, I'm an expert at that one. I've had so many fucking surgeries over the years. I've blown out knees. I've had lymph nodes removed. I've had gyno removed. I've had abdominal surgery, neck surgery, you named it. I've had a ton of surgeries done. So usually my protocol after surgery, this is terrible. I don't listen to the doctor. They'll tell you not to go to the gym for fucking 2 months. Yeah, fuck that. I try to be smart about it. I did one time go in right after surgery and started lifting, within a couple days, and blew some stitches open on my back. I mean, completely ripped stitches open from where I had a cyst removed. Really fucking dumb. And I had to go back in and get it patched up. So don't be that stupid. But usually what I do post-surgery, you're not going to be able to train hard, so there's no reason to blast high amounts of gear at that point. At a bare minimum, we just want to maintain. So I just go to TRT. I usually run, 200, 250 milligrams a test. I do run GH because GH is going to help with healing. It will help speed up healing. I usually add in some some BPC 157 and TB 500 to help with healing. And then like I work around wherever the surgery was. So for example, when I had my ACL done, obviously I couldn't train legs. So I just did upper body shit for a while. And then, I got to a point where I could do, single-sided leg exercises. I did that. And then I kept going to the gym. I was back in the gym, a few days after my ACL surgery against the advice of my doctor. You got to remember with doctors, they don't want to get sued. So they're going to tell you the most conservative advice. But be smart. Don't do what I did and go out and blow out stitches or something fucking dumb like that. I think after my gyno surgery, I did not want to fuck that up. So I think I took a full 2 weeks off from the gym. I just did some light cardio. I took a full week off. Second week, I went back in and I was just doing some light cardio. And then the doctor told me to take a full 4 weeks off from the gym. I did not do that. At week 3, I just did some very, very light pump exercises. I stayed away from doing anything that would put any pressure on my chest. Just like some leg extensions, bicep curls, push downs, shit like that. All very light, all on machines, nothing that would affect my chest. And then I worked my way back into a full workout regimen by week 4. That's how I handled it. And that worked great after my gyno surgery. All right, next one is from Flextraordinary Mofo. I like your username, dude. That's pretty awesome. What would be a good measurement of how fast your metabolism has ramped up during a body recomposition / dieting down for a competition phase? Should you measure it by fat or weight loss? Weight loss is going to be a good signal. I tend to be, some people are like this, some people are not. Some people have to fight for every pound of fat loss they get. My metabolism tends to pick up steam as I go through a diet. Like, it just keeps getting faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. And sometimes it gets out of control and I have to push calories back up. I have trained people that are that way. I've had other dudes where it's just a fucking battle to get any weight off of them. Thank God it's easier for me to pull weight off. I get fat easy, though. So I can lose fat easy. I can get fat easy. It's a blessing and a curse. But yeah, I would go by how fast you're losing weight. You can also feel it too. Like when I know when my metabolism picks up, I start getting really fucking hot. I am just sweating all the goddamn time. And to me, that's a dead giveaway that your metabolism is through the roof. So things like that are not, they're not as tangible as accelerating weight loss, but accelerating weight loss would be the easiest thing to measure. Body fat, I do not trust any body fat measurement. I do not trust a body fat scale. I got a dude right now who is like I'm working on a cut phase for him, and he's like 5% body fat, and he's almost like in show condition, and his fucking stupid ass body fat scale reads it's 23%. So you tell me. I don't believe that shit. I wouldn't put any faith in body fat measurements. I take the DEXA scan even with a grain of salt. So I go by how I look in the mirror. That's all I got on that one. All right, next one here is from Tuni Zaizu. I think that's how he says it. I don't know. Does increasing gear dosage cause muscle growth proportionally? Any idea if it's the same for nutrition? Increasing food, does it increase your muscle growth proportionally? All right, so I kind of like paraphrased what he had here, which was a little bit of a mess, but I get what he's saying. So with the gear dosage, certainly more gear works. But here's the thing. So let's say you're 160 pounds and you're at the gym and you're just starting your first cycle. If you took 3 grams of gear instead of just starting off with 250 milligrams of test, you're not magically going to be 250 pounds at the end of your cycle. There's only so much muscle protein synthesis you can accumulate in a given period of time. I mean, some of the best gains I've ever seen were Big Ramy, and I think he gained something like 90 pounds of stage weight in 6 years. And if you break down the math on it, that's 15 pounds of muscle a year. So, and it's also, so think about it too. If it's like saying, if you're 160 pounds, you can only bench press 185 pounds for eight reps. Why not put 405 on and try to bench it for 8 reps? It's not going to work. It's going to hurt yourself. It's the same thing with gear. You gradually increase it as you progress. Now, more gear does work. It's undeniable. And there is a curve I've seen, like with all gear, and each compound's different. So you have the curve of benefit versus side effects. So there's a dose that's an optimal dose, and then the curve bends backwards. When you go past it, you really don't get a lot more gain out of it. You just get more side effects. More problems. That's why guys stack things, because there seems to be a limit on things. Like, for example, I feel like testosterone, the upper limit of it is somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 milligrams per week, at least for me. And past that, there's problems. I just don't get much out of it. Primobolan is one that you can run really high without much problem. Nandrolone, there's definitely an upper limit on that. Tren is pretty low upper limit for me. I go much past, even past 150 milligrams a week, I start having problems. So, every compound's different, but I would say my thing with gear is use the minimum effective dose to get the job done. So if you can gain, let's say your first cycle, if you can gain 8 pounds of muscle off of 250 milligrams of test, and if you did 500, you would have gained 10. Why not just do the 8 and save it for the next time? I don't know. That's my 2 cents. Now, there is a time to press down the gas pedal, and that's when you're on the cusp of getting a pro card. That is about the only time you'd want to press down the gas pedal. But other than that, if you're just a gym bro, I would use the least amount possible to get the job done. That's my 2 cents, and I don't really think it's proportionally. You're not going to get, if you did 3 grams of gear on your first cycle, you might gain another pound or 2 of muscle. For what? Plus if you're doing 3 grams of gear right out of the gate and you're 160 pounds, what are you going to do when you're 250 or 200? You have no runway left. So that's another thing to think about. All right, last question here from B3 Varan Sunil, I think is what it is. Please explain some body recomposition basics. All right, so I get this question frequently. I think body recomposition is utter bullshit and a waste of time. The only time the body composition actually works, if you're a brand new lifter, you've never lifted weights before, you'll get some body recomposition. If you've never had a managed diet, it's your first time doing a managed diet, you might get some body recomposition. If you've never used gear before and you're using gear for the first time, you might get some body recomposition. But once you get past that, it is a waste of time. It's almost impossible to do. And really, it's just inefficient. You're neither bulking, you're neither cutting, you're just kind of in neutral. And the people that spend all their time doing recomps are the ones that never make any progress. They're the people that look the same year after year in the gym. I see them all the time. Hey, I'm doing a mini cut. I'm doing a recomp. Yeah, that's funny. You look the same as you did last year, bro. You haven't changed at all. So I think it's more efficient, if you're in a mass phase, stick to the fucking mass phase. Put on size. A lot of people get scared like halfway through a mass or a cutting phase and they just give up and they're halfway through a mass phase. They're worried about getting fat and they need to go back and cut some body fat. And then they don't cut enough to actually get cut. They're just in this limbo state. Like purgatory. It's bodybuilding purgatory where you're neither progressing or you're neither cutting nor building. You're just kind of stuck in the middle, and you spin your wheels and you never make any progress. So I have in my world, I have really the phases I have are I'm in a mass phase, I am in a cruise where it's a health and recovery phase, I have a cut phase, and I have a rebound phase. That is it. Occasionally I will pull back, when I am on cruise, I will pull back to maintenance calories or slightly below maintenance calories. I am not doing that for recomp. I am doing that to let my insulin sensitivity and my health recover. You do get a little bit of body composition, positive body composition results from it, but that's not the purpose of it. It's for health. It is for insulin sensitivity to get me ready for my next phase. So I preach this over and over and over again. Unless you're a newbie to dieting, a newbie to training, a newbie to PEDs, do not waste your time with recomps. You're giving up valuable time where you can be making real progress. Pick a phase, stick to it, see it to the end. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of you. For coaching or consultations, head over to www.anabolicbodybuilding.com to book your spot today. I can help you with optimizing hormones, fat loss, muscle gain, physique, athletic performance, nutrition, and health. For more information, shoot me an email at bigp3rd@gmail.com.